I think we overhyping this victory, you know, in a sense where nobody picked Xander to win. Defense, reflexes, all that, But the only thing that I can say is I'm 10 steps ahead of him. Like I'm 10 steps ahead of him in smarts. And I think, that's where he'd get in trouble with, coming straight forward, trying to box me or trying to, think shot.
Terence Crawford is firing back at Jaron Ennis after Boots called him out, and Crawford's response sends a clear message. He simply does not believe Boots has what it takes to beat him.
Knowing when to exchange, when not to exchange. When to move, when to hold. Like if you watched when he got real hurt, real bad, he didn't know when to hold. And we all yelling like, grab him. He's right there to be.
After Ennis stopped Xander Zayas, he sounded extremely confident and made it clear that he was ready to face anyone, including Terence Crawford, Virgil Ortiz, Sebastian Fundora, or another top name at 154 pounds. But Crawford's reaction completely changed the tone. Rather than giving Boots major praise for the performance, Bud laughed it off and suggested that he noticed things in the fight that many fans may have overlooked.
One thing in mind, I don't think no one picked Xander to win.
No.
And I love Xander and he's a great kid, but no one, like, I think we overhyping this victory, in a sense where nobody picked Xander to win. Everybody was kind of like, okay, he's in over his head and it's a matter of time before Boots catch him and end the fight. But what round will it be?
Right.
Now, I think it's going to be different when he goes up against a Fundora or a Virgil, because if one of those guys get him hurt like Xander did, I don't think it's going to be the same outcome.
That's where the real tension starts. Boots looked dangerous, powerful, and explosive, but he also got hit at times. Crawford's side is pointing to those moments as evidence that Ennis may not be ready for a fighter with Bud's timing, patience, experience, and high-level ring intelligence.
Like I said, man, of course, everybody know the competitive nature in myself, but I don't worry about coming back to prove anything, because me coming back and proving something to people that it doesn't matter, what never matters, for that being, they would say, oh, well, he only fought Xander, or they'll come up with some type of excuse, but to credit Boots, like, he's a tremendous talent and he's no walk in the park for no one, so he's a threat to anyone that he stepped foot in the ring with,
Crawford didn't simply laugh at the challenge. He also suggested that he is far ahead of Boots in terms of skill and experience. That kind of statement hits harder than a typical response, because Crawford is basically saying he sees the matchup as one-sided.
Be the Terence Crawford, Floyd Mayweather level of boxing, I need Josh Kelly, I need Fundora, I need Ortiz. We need names, Boots. None of that tune-up. None of that. If you want to be one of the best, you got to go out there and get it and be the best. Get back in the ring by 2027. Come on. If you really want to be one of them boys, I see he loves to talk. I see that. But you guys just show us in the ring. The resumes, that was the beginning of the resume.
So when Crawford says he has nothing left to prove, his message is clear. He feels Boots needs this fight more than he does. Ennis is still working toward becoming a proven superstar, while Crawford believes he has already established himself as one of the best fighters in the sport and has shown the world exactly what he can do.
I haven't fought this guy, I haven't fought this guy, and when I do fight these guys, or when I do step up, then it's always an excuse. So now I'm at 38 years old, about to be 39, I don't have nothing to prove. I didn't win everything there is to win. I hope that Jaron have half of the career that I had, or surpass me. If he surpassed me, I'm gonna be rooting for him. I'm gonna be giving him his props. I'm not the type of fighter that, want to see him fail. I want to see him succeed. I want to congratulate him. I want to see him, make it to the Hall of Fame and, congratulate him and things like that, but when you say, oh, he would knock Terence Crawford out, or Terence Crawford dug them, or Terence Crawford ran, and that's why Terence Crawford retired. It pisses me off sometimes, but at the same time, it's just the
You
game.
know the truth. Yeah, you know the
Crawford also made it clear that he believes he has nothing left to prove, and that completely changes the conversation. Boots Ennis can call him out, fans can debate who would win, and people can argue that Bud should return to settle the question. But Crawford sees the situation differently. He has already won world championships, defeated top-level opponents, competed across multiple weight classes, and built a legacy that many fighters are still trying to achieve.
Get easy, big dog. You got anything in closing? Anything we didn't have?
Nah. Just
Yeah.
I'm definitely a fan of boxing. You know, I'm gonna be in Australia. I'm gonna be.
Oh yeah, I know you're gonna be over there. Yeah.
I'm gonna be supporting Spence, rooting him on.
Yeah.
You know, I just like to support, you know, fighters in his own right. I done been in Boots' locker room supporting him. You know, so yeah, it's just crazy how the tables turn. You know, when people get to a certain plateau and they forget
Right.
about things like that.
Right.
We picking Earl? I'm
Of
picking
course,
All right,
of course,
Sean and Sean? Y'all
of
got it?
course.
Yeah.
Shot better.
We gotta see.
Wow.
Boots didn't seem bothered by Crawford saying he has nothing left to prove. From Ennis's perspective, that sounds more like a safe excuse than an answer. Crawford can claim he is 10 steps ahead, laugh off the challenge, and point to everything he has already accomplished, but Boots sees the situation differently. If Crawford truly believes he could never lose to him, then Boots wants him to return to the ring and prove it. His message is simple. Crawford can't keep talking about retirement while acting as if the outcome is already decided. Either prove the difference inside the ring, or stop treating Ennis like he isn't on his level.
We focus on tasking and taking over this division. We ain't worrying about retired fighters.
Yeah, y'all keep on throwing Terence up. Terence something, you retired. You leave Terence alone. Let him do what he's supposed to do. Y'all mean have fun and enjoy.
But according to Shannon Sharp, Chad Ochocinco Johnson, and Joe Johnson, Boots may be rushing things by calling out Terence Crawford. In their view, Crawford still holds the advantage in experience, ring IQ, patience, timing, and overall ability to find different ways to win. Boots may be younger, stronger, and exciting to watch, but Bud has already proven himself against elite competition at the highest level. That's why they are not ready to pick Ennis over Crawford. They believe Bud remains the more complete fighter because he can read mistakes before they happen, make adjustments better than almost anyone, and punish opponents when they become too comfortable. Boots is clearly dangerous, but in their eyes, Crawford is still operating on another level.
Bud would fight him like he fought Canelo. Bud is a lot smarter than you think. Bud, hey, people sleep on Bud. I don't know why. I mean, he's the only man that's unified 3 divisions. And you don't see guys go from 140 to 68. Jump 3, basically one fight at 54. Basically, he jumped 3 divisions. 3. Come on now. But I don't know. I don't know if Bud's like, look, man, I done made money. Now it's time for me to sit back and let the other fellas have it. He a 4-division champ. He's a 3-division unified champ. Let that sink in. In the 4-belt era, he got 3 divisions in which he had all 4.
Then Rick Glazer responded to fans who are still pushing for a Boots Ennis versus Terence Crawford fight, and he shifted the discussion toward money and reality. Glazer pointed out that Crawford has already said he is retired, so the bigger question is who would pay Bud enough to return and take on Ennis when a Canelo rematch could reportedly earn him far more, potentially well above $50 million for a fight he may see as much easier. Vinny's Corner also weighed in, saying he believes Crawford would stop Ennis and urging fans to stop calling for the matchup. These reactions show how some people view the situation after Boots' win over Xander Zayas. They recognize that Ennis is talented, powerful, dangerous, and looking strong at the new weight, but they still believe Crawford is operating at a completely different level from their perspective. Crawford's timing, patience, defense, counterpunching, and ability to adjust would create serious problems for Boots. While Ennis' supporters see the call-out as a sign of confidence, Vinny's Corner views it as a risky move that could put Boots in a fight where Crawford might expose his weaknesses and stop his momentum quickly. Lou DiBella offered a more balanced opinion on the matchup, saying that if Crawford came out of retirement right now, he would favor Bud to beat Boots. But he also warned that age and inactivity work against any fighter. DiBella believes that if Crawford wants to prove his point, he should do it sooner rather than later because Boots is still young, improving, and has not reached his prime. He also praised Ennis's performance against Xander Zayas, saying the way Boots attacked and created excitement made him look ready for a major fight. At the same time, DiBella pointed out that the openings Ennis showed were likely obvious to Crawford and his trainer, Brian Bomac McIntyre, just as they were to everyone watching. Another strong reaction came from Boxing Massacre, who argued that Crawford is still on another level and that Boots is being overrated. For those critics, Ennis's stoppage of Zayas was not enough to prove he is ready for Bud. Instead, they focused on the moments when Boots was hit and the defensive openings he showed. So while Ennis's supporters viewed the victory as a major statement, his critics saw it as a warning that Crawford could take advantage of those weaknesses. In his opinion, Crawford is simply too smart, experienced, and precise to let those mistakes go unpunished, which is why he believes Boots should stop calling Bud's name before the matchup hurts his momentum. But Ray Jackson strongly disagrees, saying Boots would beat Crawford badly. Ray does not see Ennis as an easy opponent for Bud at all. He believes Boots has the size, speed, youth, power, and confidence to create serious problems for Crawford, and he sees the call-out as genuine belief rather than a publicity move. Then Crawford responded to the conversation with a short statement that got fans thinking. He said he would keep his comments to himself, but that everyone could understand what he meant. It did not sound like praise. Instead, it seemed as though Crawford noticed weaknesses in Boots' performance that he did not want to explain publicly. Ennis got the win, but he was also hit cleanly, became comfortable at times, and showed openings that an experienced fighter like Crawford could immediately recognize. That is why Bud's brief response carried so much weight. He seemed to be letting fans draw their own conclusions. Boots may be dangerous, but Crawford appeared confident that he already knows where the openings are. Sean Porter also shared his thoughts on the potential matchup, speaking from the perspective of someone who has actually shared the ring with Crawford. Porter recognizes Boots' speed, size, switch-hitting ability, and offensive talent, but he also understands the unique challenge Crawford brings. Bud is patient, intelligent, calculated, and capable of making adjustments while the fight is happening. Porter's respect for Crawford comes from personal experience, not hype, which is why he would not quickly pick Boots to beat him. Ennis may be younger and more explosive, but Crawford has already proven that he can change his approach, disrupt an opponent's rhythm, and take away their biggest strengths. Against a fighter like Bud, even one mistake can completely change the direction of the fight.
With speed and power.
I just think
and
this,
creativity.
you just don't see that. That's what this would have been.
Yep.
100%.
A plus versus A.
That's A plus
And
versus A. I like that.
Terrence just a little too
Yeah.
much and will catch him
Yeah.
in Buzz boots. And
Yeah.
I think that'll. I think Terrence stops him
It's
late.
such a special fight because you got two alpha males in the
Yeah.
ring that are true alpha males. You know what I mean? I was an alpha male until I got in the ring with that dude.
It just
And that dude, like, it was like the more he wasn't allowing me to do what he wasn't, and it was like, damn, okay, well then, you know.
You had one of them in eights and the other in sparring.
I don't know, cause that dude hit me with a right hand in the sparring, and I was like, I was like, yo, that was.
According to Boxing Ego, Crawford is unlikely to come out of retirement just to fight Boots, and the reason is straightforward. Bud does not need this matchup as much as Boots does. Ennis is the one chasing a major legacy fight and trying to prove that he belongs among the best in boxing, while Crawford has already built an impressive resume, won major fights, and reached a point in his career where he can decide which opportunities are worth taking.
Bud Crawford makes it official, rejects the notion that he could come out of retirement to face Jaron Boots Ennis, stating he really has nothing to prove, wishes Boots Ennis well on his journey, but he ain't coming out of retirement for no dang Jaron.
That is why Boxing Ego's argument carries weight. Fans may want to see Bud Crawford face Boots Ennis, and Boots can continue calling his name, but Crawford is not at a point where he needs to respond to every young fighter looking for a major opportunity. If Bud decides to return, it would likely have to be for something truly significant, whether that means a huge payday or a legacy-defining fight that gives him a real reason to come back.
I do notice that there's a lot of times where Crawford, he's very passive-aggressive. Like, you could tell he got this far in his career being a competitor and being very competitive, not wanting to lose, because you would hear that message and you would be like, all right, he's showing mad love to the youngin, to Jaron Boots Ennis, who actually, he just turned like 29, I believe. He had a birthday. But you hear that and you're like, all right, Crawford was being cool. But then you look at his social media last night and he had like a snarky type of tweet that everybody knows was pretty much sneak dissing Jaron Boots Ennis. Like, I got a lot to say, but I'm gonna just keep it to myself. So Crawford is a competitor, and I noticed that he does a lot of passive aggressive stuff where yesterday night after the fight, you were kind of like alluding to, insinuating, and subliminally getting at Boots. But now you're like, I wish him well. People are all, you know, you're being the bigger person. And then also in the same interview, he said this, play the clip.
I don't worry about coming back to prove anything, because me coming back and proving something to people that it doesn't.
Then Adola Adepo gave one of the biggest reactions to Boots Ennis' victory, taking the praise even further by saying that Boots has now earned a place in the pound-for-pound conversation. The point was not simply that Ennis looked impressive, but that he defeated a highly respected opponent in Xander Zayas, who entered the fight unbeaten, confident, and viewed as a serious championship-level fighter. Boots did more than win a close decision. He broke Zayas down and stopped him. That kind of performance can completely change how a fighter is viewed. Instead of being seen as just a talented contender, Ennis is now being discussed as one of the best fighters in the sport, and that is why Adepo believes he deserves recognition among the pound-for-pound elite.
Boots Ennis to that. Jaron Boots Ennis has now put himself, I think, into the pound-for-pound conversation. Like, without doubt for me, he's now in the top 10 pound-for-pound, and I need to think very quickly about what number he sits at. Because yesterday, he beat an unbeaten champion and stopped him. I repeat myself, he beat an unbeaten champion and stopped him. Didn't go to points, wasn't controversial, beat him up. And I don't say that lightly, because Xander Zayas threw back. There was a time in that fight, I think it was round 3, where Xander Zayas started throwing back, and I even was on my Instagram story, and I was like, okay, we have a fight. Because the crowd started to get into it. It was the first time in a long time. I feel like we've seen Boots hurt, never really shaken, but you see Boots get connected, but Boots kind of took a back seat, like, okay, this guy's starting to land on me, and I was like, okay, this is it. Boots, though, is almost a bit, I'm trying to think of the fighter, Nigel Benn-esque for our UK viewers. When you hit him, he wants to hit you back. Almost a bit like a child in the playground. Like, there is no, okay, you're hitting me, I'm going to go on the defense and run away. No, fire with fire. And that was almost Xander Zayas' undoing, because Boots just hits too hard, he's too strong, he's too fast, and ultimately he's just too good. He's too good. He's had a couple of good performances.